Imagine looking at a birth chart and instantly predicting that the road outside a person's childhood home runs east to west, that there is a Shiva temple nearby, and that they are at a high risk for a severe accident. You can extract these highly specific facts without ever knowing their exact time of birth. This is the foundation of Bhrigu Nandi Nadi, or BNN. In this ancient South Indian system, the traditional ascendant, or lagna, is completely ignored. Looking at this chart, we strip away the ascendant. Instead, we anchor our reading entirely on two specific planets. Jupiter represents the native themselves, the jiva, or life force. Saturn represents their actions and profession, their karma. Removing the lagna eliminates the need for down-to-the-minute birth times. We treat the planets as literal entities moving through physical space, mapping out a person's life based purely on the physical geometry between them. Let's start by mapping the physical environment. The placement of the Rahu and Ketu axis tells us the geographic orientation of the road outside the native's house at birth. For instance, with Rahu in Aries and Ketu in Libra, the road runs directly east to west. We can pinpoint exact landmarks using that same spatial logic. Locating the sun in a sign like Leo indicates a religious structure, specifically a Shiva temple, sitting right near the home. Moving from physical spaces to life timelines, we apply Saturn's mathematics to calculate the exact age a person begins their career. We start at Saturn, the planet of profession. In BNN, Rahu represents the mouth, or the beginning of a cycle. To find the job start date, we count the signs inclusively from Saturn's position forward to Rahu. Since Saturn takes exactly 2.5 years to transit a single sign, we multiply that sign count by 2.5. In this specific chart, counting from Saturn and Leo to Rahu gives us 9 signs. 9 multiplied by 2.5 equals 22.5. The native will secure their first job right at 22.5 years of age. A physical address and a start date for a career are not random. In this system, they are directly encoded in the static distances between these specific planetary anchors. To time major relationship events, we track movement. Life events occur when a transiting Jupiter physically touches specific, stationary planets in the birth chart. For a male native, marriage is triggered when transiting Jupiter touches natal Venus. For a female native, the trigger is Jupiter transiting over natal Mars. Importantly, if a planet like Saturn sits in the house immediately before the target, it acts as a barrier that delays this meeting. The zodiac sign holding Venus or Mars gives us geographical coordinates. The element of that specific sign, fire, earth, air, or water, dictates the compass direction the future spouse will come from. Let's test this on a female native's chart. Mars sits in Cancer, a water sign. Looking at the bottom, Saturn is positioned in a house just before Mars. Pause the video here. Determine the direction her husband will come from, and figure out if her marriage will be delayed. Water signs like Cancer indicate a northern direction, and because Saturn acts as an obstacle in the house immediately preceding Mars, her marriage will happen later in life. The chart operates as a dynamic spatial map, showing exactly where and when significant people will cross the native's path. We extract exact timelines for wealth, property acquisition, and hardship using the Jupiter's house lord technique. Looking at this diagram, we establish our relative starting point. First, we identify the planetary ruler, or dispositor, of the exact sign Jupiter occupies. Here, Jupiter sits in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Next, we count how many houses away that ruler is positioned, strictly relative to Jupiter's location. Mars sits in Cancer, exactly 4 houses away from our starting point in Aries. This data table maps out the results. Finding the Lord in the 4th house from Jupiter translates to inheriting or acquiring land at specific ages, 28, 40, and 52. You just calculated 3 major life events spanning decades. You did it entirely without an ascendant, without complex house division mathematics, and without knowing the exact minute this person was born. This cheat sheet condenses the methodology. You have your core anchors in Jupiter and Saturn, your timing triggers based on transits and fixed multipliers, and your specific health diagnostics. Mastery in this system comes from understanding the physical geometry of the planets.